Believe it or not, it's actually mid-December right now, and it's like in the mid-50s, which is weird because we actually started December like unseasonably cold, and I also started like a crazy amount of work during that time. Finally, I'm kind of free of all that stuff. But enough of that right now. We'll talk more about it later. Let's take a kind of a look back to where my year kind of started. I guess really kind of the summer. Kind of a look back when things were nice and beautiful. This is actually, I can't really remember when it was exactly, but it was one of the first camping trips me and my buddy Justin took on our bikes. He had just picked up his Honda XR, like, God, I don't even think like a month before this. Hence why his setup's a little bit like a jalopy. This shot is one of my favorites. This was actually after he kind of fell over into a puddle, like on the very first ride we ever went on. And this is the first time he's gotten seriously stuck.
Look at that guy.
The bike's a 650, so she's a bit hefty, and I think he was going to try to cut me off in the past, if I remember correctly, and ended up getting stuck. Some people ask me why I got a smaller 150, and because they're incredibly light and easy to work with, unlike the 650, which is a little beastly. But the nice thing about the 650 is it's got a lot of power, so he tends to take the lead.
Oh shit, you okay?
You don't see this, but he actually flipped the bike upside down on the other side of the sill. After we righted it, I turned the camera back on and showed you how we got it out of this ditch. And keep in mind of why I said I got a 125 versus something like this ginormous 650.
Yeah, kinda.
Yep, I'm holding practically all the way to the bike right now. And is it reminding me why I have a 125.
It's like, yep, got it all, got it.
Actually, this was a spectacular day. And actually, if you notice too, this really wasn't from our camping trip. This was actually from a different adventure. But I thought I'd add this into our kind of year recap. So, we're excited that we got it out, but really that's just half the battle. Remember, the thing was upside down. Will it start? And it's a Honda. Of course it'll start. But really that was the only kind of weird little faux pas that we had. This is really kind of the camping area that we found on our trip. We're just kind of exploring a bit more to find the actual spot we want to camp. It was a neat area, and actually we got a great spot on top of this hill. I again don't remember what month this was, but I do recall that the morning was pretty chilly. I think it was like in the mid-40s. It was a fantastic camping area, and there was really no flying bugs. But even though we were on a sandy hill, ticks were everywhere. I don't know why, but ticks were a bit of a problem, especially for Justin. I don't know why they were preferring him over me, but you know, just never know. This is kind of interesting. This is actually my very first camping trip I went on by myself with the Honda. And I found this surveying like marker in the middle of nowhere by this tree. And it's weird because I mean it's the middle of nowhere, but yet they decided to put the stop sign at this cross section here, and yeah, I guess. So I hadn't been camping in a while, and when getting my gear together, I forgot my bug net, and as you can tell, it's a little bit of a problem. And I was also having some computer issues too that I'm still trying to figure out how I want to handle when I do my bigger adventure here soon. And once again, learning about technology on this trip and how I want to do things, I've also learned to check your shot. I was going to use this to lift a still from later, and obviously I didn't because, well, things didn't really work out too well. But it's still kind of an interesting shot. That's not the only camping I did. Marie and I went to South Manitou Island, and it's an interesting spot. If you've ever heard of it or thought about going here, I highly recommend it. It is beautiful. It is rustic camping, but it's probably like the safest, easiest, nicest like way to start rustic camping. Um, Especially where we camp, it's not too far away from the water pumps, and there's like really no wild animals to worry about except chipmunks. Which I mean, chipmunks can be a pain. They can really ramsack your stuff. And there's a ton of stuff to explore. And once again, ever since it's an island, you can only get so lost. And the mapping systems and like roads and trails I have are pretty well marked. This is the Beck Farm, one of like I believe like 3 farms that are still pretty well established still there, even though no one lives there anymore. The rest of the farms are all pretty much ruins. So it was around midsummer when I started to get a little gutsy and started cutting around my bike on single tracks instead of 2 tracks. This shot is actually one of my favorites when I come into this thicket of ferns. It's weird because I did some research and whatnot, and I don't know what the rules are about like riding around on these trails. I'm on state land. Nothing's posted that I can't do this, so I always get a little nervous about doing this if I'm going to get in trouble or upset people. But that's not the only thing I'm worried about when riding on single track. The one thing that makes single track a little bit more gutsy, I guess, is the fact that if I have any kind of issues, be it mechanical or otherwise, it's very difficult to get to me when I'm on a single track. I mean, I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere, and I'm kind of letting this scene or whatever here kind of run from start to, well, not really start to finish, but kind of run kind of long and linear to kind of give you an idea of what it's like just riding this, because I usually cut things kind of quick when riding, but as you can see, most of it I'm not really going that fast. And I'm always standing. Well, I try to be standing anyway, so I still get plenty of exercise. It's just kind of a way to move quicker through the woods than walking, so I can explore more and take in more of nature without like just ripping and tearing things up and creating a havoc. That's why I also like the 125. A little Honda here. It's quite quiet as well. Midland does a lot of interesting things throughout the summer, and one of the things to do is the chalk walk. And this year, Marie participated in the chalk walk, and it was like the perfect year to do that because it really wasn't sunny and it didn't rain or anything, and Marie's project turned out very well. I was invited out to work Balloon Fest, and what summer wouldn't be complete without a small town parade? And the Chemical City Derby Girls came out and were part of the promenade as well. And Marie hooked up with a few of her gal pals from that team, and they ended up running the Muddy Princess race thing, whatever you want to call it. It was an interesting event. Marie wore a GoPro, and I got some footage from the sidelines and actually cut a video together, which I'll try to remember to put a link in the description. I also worked on a project of refurbishing a prize wheel that they use at the roll arena, and I did it in the Derby team's colors. I had some footage of like the before, which I can't find. I'm sure it's somewhere. I just was getting tired of looking for it. But anyways, it turned out so well that the roller arena that actually owns this and everything invited me out to work on revamping this little toy station. It's still kind of a work in progress in this photo scene here, but as you can tell, it's definitely had a lot of changes. I've also been asked to do a bunch of other work, like doing cable pulls and a bunch of other general maintenance and upkeep and whatnot, and it's been a lot of fun. My buddy Edmonds also put together this amazing sound system, because he's a genius, and some other stuff for projection, and invited a bunch of people out for a June birthday jamboree. It was a lot of fun. This year is the really only group ride that we had all year. I don't really know why. I guess just we were busy and weather and whatnot. There's only so many good times in the season to ride together. And this is the first time that me and Marie rode together with me having the Honda, and she's not used to the fact that this Honda can't go 0 to 60 at all. Well, now it kind of can, but we'll talk about that more in a little later. But the Vespas can actually go 0 to 60 in like less than 4 seconds. Luckily, Justin here kind of stayed with me, and as you can tell, I'm almost to my top speed now, which is about 55-ish. And here Marie decided to try to learn how to ride, not try to, but learn how to ride the Super Cub. Just a little different. She hasn't been on a shifting bike in a while, even though this one's super easy because it has no clutch. And sorry about this angle, it's kind of awkward because I actually have a chest rig on here, and I'm standing on the pegs, and I'm kind of like lurched forward a little bit, so, and also with this super wide lens, it's kind of fisheye and weird. And we go from shorts and flip-flops to stacking wood in a sweater in the rain. Here I want to say it's about September, and I know that the cold winters are coming. And blink, and all the leaves are gone. We are definitely in the middle of fall. This is about October-ish, and October means many things. A, it's getting darker a lot earlier now, so I put on this new light, and that means we're getting near hunting season. So I don't like to ride out on the single tracks as much, so I've just been kind of keeping to roads. But October also brings many other interesting things like Halloween, which I think is everybody's favorite time of year. And even though we have no kids and I don't go trick-or-treating anymore, who doesn't like to get dressed up and act like kids? And I was lucky enough to be invited to do this photo shoot, even though I'm not really a photographer. Again, Marie and some of her roller derby friends and some of their friends got together and did this this witch shoot, and actually it was a lot of fun. Fall is actually my favorite time of year. It's quite beautiful, and I like cool weather versus like hot weather. But we all know that fall quickly transitions to winter. I wish fall actually lasted quite a bit longer. But with the changing seasons, it also brings sports seasons, and now it's derby season. This is actually the very first bout that the Chemical City Derby girls have had in 2 years, I believe. And if you can hear the music in the background, it's because this is actually from a video that I shot. Actually, there's like 3 of them out right now, and I got a couple more I really should be working on. That I have on my page, and that you can find at a link I'll put on here to their page. I had 3 cameras set up, and it had a bunch of editing, and it's a little tricky, but I think they turned out pretty well. Of course, fall is football season. And no, I'm not really a football guy, but I am a camera operator. And also, I've been doing work back at the center at this point in time, and doing volunteering at the center again at this point in time for a Christmas story. So as you can tell, we are now in the middle of winter, and I forgot that I also got to work with Alex. And we got a new dance floor set up over at the Creative 360 I was working on, and I had to figure out this car thing for a Christmas story musical, and I was building stuff for a Christmas story musical, and really just during this like 2 or 3 week period I was working 10, 12, 14, sometimes a 16-hour day. It was insane, which kind of brings us back to the fall where I started this actually, and now this is kind of almost present-ish day. This is December 28th, I believe. I had just put a new front sprocket, which only has 12 teeth on it, and I'm turning everything off and on because I was warned that my ABS was actually going to shut off with this for some weird reason. And I read somewhere else that if you turn it off and turn it back on after riding for a minute, it'll fix it. And yeah, it doesn't actually. But I'm not saying that the front ABS isn't good to have. I just don't think it's exactly a necessity. And ever since I put this front sprocket on, it's really unleashed a lot more performance. I wouldn't say speed. I mean, I do have a more of a top end now. I can go all the way up to 60 fairly easily. But really the takeoff and torque is just is phenomenal. I mean, I don't think this bike really needs anything more, which is good because the next step was rebuild bore out kit, and it's a little bit beyond my scope. It was gonna be fun to do it, but by doing a bore out kit, I lose all the original Honda parts, and I really like Honda products, and hence why I bought one. So I think the only thing that's really left to work on for upgrades for the little 125 here is suspension for the most part, maybe a different exhaust system, and I might do something with the intake. And that's really about it. And speaking of about it, ever since today, actually, as I'm doing the voiceover, this is actually the first I'm pretty much caught up to present time all the way around. So this here actually is not my last ride. I was lucky enough that 2 days ago the weather was in the 50s again, and even though it was a muddy mess, after work I cut out and went trail riding, and I didn't have the GoPros or anything with me, so you just get a little taste of the aftermath of how I wrapped up the year. But anyways, that's it. So like and subscribe and all that stuff if you're interested in it. And thanks for watching, and I guess I will see you in the next video. Take care out there. Bye.